Hey guys, welcome to IEMLabs. I am Prasun Das, and today we are going to discuss about a roadmap to become a full stack web developer. Many of you have asked us this question that how can we become a full stack web developer, and many of you has become one by pursuing our full stack web developer courses. So before discussing anything, let's dive into it. So, who are full stack web developer? Full stack web developer is the one who is responsible for its website's backend, frontend, and also sometimes to the app team also. So, what are their roles? As we all know, a full stack developer mainly works on frontend and backend, but this is not the real thing. A full stack web developer need to work on everything from having a good design to backend, frontend, DevOps, testing, and native apps. So now you are wondering how can this be possible? As everyone knows that in a website there are only two parts. One is frontend and there is backend. But in going to deep details of it, a website, even a full-fledged app has everything, including this one, which include first a good design so that the user can attracts to the site or app, a good front end, the native apps also should be good, a good backend with database and other system design systems, and at the end testing. Writing a good unit test is a sign of becoming a good developer. So let's jump right into the sheet where we'll be discussing about everything to become a full stack web developer in details. So coming to the content part, here we have 1 minute. So here we have starting with HTML. We'll be dividing this front-end part into 3 to 4 parts, and then we'll go to backend, which is then divided into 2 to 3 parts. So let's discuss one by one. So coming to the first part, which is HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is the backbone or the structure of a web page. Then coming to CSS, using it we can do every styling aspect of things, including how the website will be looking like. So here we have a sub branch of HTML, which is I have written canvas. In HTML we have a canvas API which help us to create 2D to 3D graphics in our website. So many of you maybe have used a whiteboard in our browser. One of the best example is Google Color. It is made up of this HTML canvas. So after learning HTML, it is optional, but it is good to learn canvas as it has a broad application. Then coming to CSS, uh, a single line of CSS can be very complex to stand alone this beautiful website. So we have came up with CSS frameworks which include Bootstrap, Tailwind, Material UI, and also we have an alternative of CSS, or better say wrapper of CSS known as SAS. So when we'll be doing CSS, we'll be directly interacting with but design principles of the website, which stands for UI and UX. UI stands for user interface and UX stands for user experience. A good developer should have this basics understanding of UI and UX, which includes color theory, contrast, shadows, user experience, psychological order, hierarchy, and everything. A good developer, I mean to say a good full stack developer, also a good front end developer, need to have everything which I am discussing here. Then we have JavaScript. In JavaScript, one must learn and should never skip these things. Event loop, promise, classes, yes, And a JavaScript is itself is so much used that only the person who is learning JavaScript for almost 20 years from its origin can only say that he knows JavaScript very well. Since JavaScript is itself is so much big thing. From JavaScript we have came to React, Angular, Vue, and whatnot. Our Chrome 8 engine is made up of JavaScript. So yeah, if you ask, then I can make another roadmap based on JavaScript. Just write in the comment section below. And after JavaScript, one can learn TypeScript, which is made by Microsoft in 2014. TypeScript is nothing but just a wrapper over JavaScript, which gives JavaScript a strict type. Means JavaScript is a high-level language with loosely typings, but TypeScript is also high-level language, but it provides strict level typings so that the user get bug-free production code. After then, one should be habituated with browser APIs, which include Google Maps and COVID-19 API, as we are having as COVID disorder right now. So one should know how to deal with these APIs. Then coming to advanced front-end framework, we have many front-end frameworks. Like there are a huge number of front-end frameworks. We cannot count them also as huge as the number of stars in this sky. Like every third or 10th day, there comes some new JavaScript frameworks. So we cannot count them, but these three are most popular in this current scenario. But coming to the fundamentals, which one should never skip, are these things: components, routing, and state management. Every framework should have, one should know these three things of every framework, as these three things are the most common things of frameworks. So now you'll be asking what are these frameworks? So frameworks are modern version or more powerful version of our JavaScript or CSS principles, which gives us more flexibility and help us to build a new product in writing much less code. So these are the frameworks. So yeah, one may learn React or Angular or Vue. It is optional to learn everything, but one should learn at least one of these frameworks. Then coming to API connector, mainly Axios. One can connect the API using fetch method or Axios method. I will prefer the Axios method as it is more advanced and more developer friendly. Then coming to the most important part, which is testing, front-end testing. I'm talking about now only front-end testing, not about the whole back-end or front-end testing. Only testing. A good developer should know how to write a good unit test cases, end-to-end test cases, and everything. So this testing, in this testing, we have testing frameworks like JS, Jasmine, Phantom JS. Again, the list is a bit big, but don't be afraid, as one cannot become a full stack web developer within a day, but within a 2, 3, 5, 6, 1 year, one can become. So coming to desktop application, we may use Electron.js as our desktop application. You may don't know, like WhatsApp is made up of Electron.js. Slack is made up of Electron.js. So the Electron.js is also a desktop application framework. Then coming to native mobile apps. A full stack developer company hire them because of this reason also, as they should know native mobile apps. So what are native mobile apps? Like we have Java as an Android application language, we have C as an iOS application language. Nowadays we have cross-platform application language, by which we can write a single line of code and run them in Android and iOS. So these things are native apps. In JavaScript, we have React Native and Flutter. So one may know these two things, or one is good enough. Other thing is automation. One developer may build their site up to a certain extent, but they have to do automation in order to continuously develop the thing, to CI/CD everything. Otherwise, it will be much hectic for them to manage their own codes. As a developer writes thousand lines of code, so managing those lines of code, one may need automation. For that, we have Travis, GitHub Action. Then a front-end developer can do IoT stuff too, which includes Zonify and Co. Ah, that was a lot of things in front-end part, but here we have this at least requirement of this front-end. Like a good front-end developer should know everything here. We may have much more things in the future, but as of now, as of in 2021, a good front-end developer, a good experienced front-end developer who is willing to get a good amount of lump sum of salary should know everything discussed here. And coming to the backend part, the list is also much bigger. And since the current IT industry is focusing on JS web development, so I have discussed everything related to JavaScript. The front-end part of web is solely focused on JavaScript. Now I'm focusing the backend part is also on JavaScript. So in backend we have Node.js, a JavaScript runtime environment which finds our code create engine to our system to run JavaScript code. So in Node.js, we have many frameworks to create a server like Express.js, but in industry, they prefer using less dependencies. So one should know how to use vanilla Node.js, which is with using Node.js without dependencies. So the most basic things are HTTP module for creating server, the OS module for dealing with the operating system, file system module for dealing with the file system of our system. Then we have EJS. Via backend, we can create some content templates so that the user can interact with it dynamic contents. For that, we have EJS, handlebars, and pugs. Then we have WebSockets. So, what are WebSockets? The HTTP protocol, how the handshake has occurred, the networking principles, the core networking things. Like a backend developer should have these core principle knowledge. A backend developer should not, I repeat, a backend developer should not skip their core principle or their fundamentals, which includes these things: networking protocols, OS, system design, and all. Then we have authentication and authentication. So in authentication, backend developer should know the difference between authentication and authorization. OAuth 2.0 session, cookies, local storage, how to deal with them. So the front-end developer should know in local storage cookies session. I mean, this authentication authorization should be a middle thing between a front end and back end. Both of them should know its extreme extents. Like in front end, the developer mainly deals with cookies, session, local storage. In back end, the developer deals with its system architecture, its authorization, its token, etc. Then coming to the most important thing for a backend developer is database. In database, we have two two types of database. One is SQL database, another is NoSQL database. In SQL database, is structured query language, another is not a structured query language. In so here comes upgrade theory, which includes a whole subject called DBMS, but we are mainly focused on CAP theorem and Pascal theorem. And in interview, if anyone is able to explain me that what to use which database and what is the difference between SQL and NoSQL, if anyone is able to explain me this thing clearly, then I would like to hire them. So the backend developer should never skip this database thing, as it is their core principle. Another one comes this testing. After creating our application, our APIs, one should able to test their own code, own API. So for backend testing, we have Mocha, we have JS, we have Chai, and we have much other frameworks, but these three are the most common frameworks. After that, we have DevOps, which includes CI/CD, means the user continuously integrates and deploy their codes. Uh, Full stack developer is supposed to know DevOps, cloud, system design, OS, and everything. So what is in DevOps? We have Docker. In Docker, we have Kubernetes, Shape, and then we have to deploy them using Nginx or Apache. Then we can have a serverless server also, like we have AWS serverless. Then coming to cloud one. In cloud, we have IaaS, PaaS, and BaaS. In BaaS, I guess everyone is familiar with BaaS technology, which is iOS, and this recent one, which is Superbase. Another one is PaaS. This includes Google App Engine, Heroku, and in IaaS is AWS, EC2, Google Cloud Computing. So these three are the three levels of cloud computing. Uh, from best, the user get the least flexibility, to highest, the user get the most flexibility. So most flexibility means the user should know much more to control the things. And there is system design and OS. OS is the fundamental of our backend system, and in system design, we should know how to design our system, how to design our database, and everything. And a full stack developer is supposed to know this all the things. So after I will attach this link to our description. You can have another look at it. And I guess now you are thinking a full stack developer has so many things. So don't worry. We have our course for this. We have a certified full stack developer CWD course, a 40-hour course to teach the basics, the fundamentals of web, which include PHP and Node.js. And also in content, we have React, Angular, and Vue. And we'll be solely focusing on its fundamental. As in IT industry, it is very dynamic. After 2 to 3 years, the technology changes, but the fundamentals don't change. So we'll be solely focusing on that so that you can sustain after also the technology dies. So that's all for today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this video. Thank you.